The development of Hollow Knight Silksong stands as one of the most intriguing stories in modern indie game production, not because of dramatic failure or crisis, but because of how a relatively small idea evolved into something far more ambitious. Following the success of Hollow Knight, expectations were already high for anything created by Team Cherry. What began as a planned expansion soon transformed into a full sequel, shaped by an expanding creative vision, a deliberately small development team, and an unusually long production cycle. As a result, Silksong became a project defined as much by its journey as by its final form, offering insight into the challenges and consequences of pursuing ambition without compromise. Welcome to another chapter of Behind the Code. The story behind Hollow Knight Silksong is less about dramatic setbacks and more about how creative ambition can steadily transform a modest idea into something far larger than intended. Originally, the project did not even exist as a full sequel. After the success of Hollow Knight, developer Team Cherry planned a series of downloadable content updates, one of which would allow players to control the character Hornet. This concept seemed straightforward at first, but it quickly became clear that Hornet's design, faster, more acrobatic, and fundamentally different from the original protagonist, required rethinking nearly every aspect of the game. Level design, combat flow, and traversal systems all had to be rebuilt around her abilities, and what had been conceived as an add-on soon grew beyond the limits of DLC. The only viable path forward was to turn it into a full, standalone game. From that point on, the development of Silksong became defined by expansion rather than constraint. Working with a very small team, Team Cherry chose not to significantly increase their size, even as the scope of the project ballooned. This decision preserved creative control, but slowed production considerably. Ideas were not cut back. Instead, they accumulated. New regions, enemies, quests, and mechanics were continually added, resulting in a world that ultimately surpassed the scale of the original game. What might be described as feature creep became one of the central challenges of development, though it was driven less by poor planning and more by a deliberate desire to refine and improve every aspect of the experience. The long development cycle, stretching from the game's announcement in 2019 to its eventual release years later, led many observers to assume that something had gone wrong behind the scenes. In reality, there were no widely reported crises, such as financial trouble or technical collapse. The success of Hollow Knight had given the studio financial independence, allowing them to work at their own pace without external pressure. The main difficulty lay in managing the sheer volume of ideas and maintaining a consistent level of quality across an increasingly complex project. Much of the later development period was devoted to polishing, balancing, and ensuring that the expanded mechanics worked cohesively. If there was a genuine point of tension, it existed between the developers and their audience. Team Cherry became known for its prolonged silence, offering few updates over several years. This lack of communication fueled speculation and frustration among fans, some of whom began to suspect development trouble. The studio, however, maintained that their focus remained on the game itself, rather than on public updates. This approach, while understandable from a production standpoint, contributed to an atmosphere of uncertainty that followed the game up to its release. When Silksong finally launched, it carried the weight of immense expectations. The anticipation generated by years of waiting translated into overwhelming demand, and the game quickly became a major talking point within the gaming community. Its expanded world, more intricate systems, and distinct gameplay identity reflected the long and iterative development process, though the same expectations that fueled its popularity also led to intense scrutiny. In that sense, the extended production cycle shaped not only the game itself, but also the way it was received. Even after release, the project has not been treated as complete. Team Cherry has indicated that additional content is already in development, echoing the post-launch support model of the original game. These future DLCs are described as ambitious, with the potential to introduce new characters, storylines, and substantial additions to the world. However, details remain limited, and no firm timeline has been established. Given the studio's history, it is entirely possible that these expansions will follow the same pattern as Silksong itself, growing in scope as development progresses. There's even a certain irony in the possibility that future DLCs could evolve into something larger, just as Hornet's original add-on became a full sequel. That's it for today. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe and hit that like button. It really helps me out. Before I go, I have a question for you. What are your expectations for the DLC? Are you hoping for harder enemies, new mechanics, and deeper lore? Or just like me, who want the current formula to continue? Let me know in the comments below. I'll be reading them.